personality with the best hair.
Are you okay, Decker?
Oh, I'm better than alright. I'm great. The underpants gnomes know not to fuck with me, and the cheeseburger ninja stole the hot sauce of last resort. Also, I finally figured out my revenge on Jimmy the Lou for sending me that god-awful Asylum film.
You see, this is why you don't send Asylum films through the mail. There are enough people threatening my life as it is.
Or he could have just invited the little elder god plushie to his dinosaur-themed month of reviews. You know, since I actually knew some dinosaurs. The Coahuila was very polite and gets very little representation nowadays.
Well, you're trapped here now, and we have to do a dinosaur-themed crossover, and I have just the film in mind.
You actually found a dinosaur movie that was from Japan for the Patreon campaign? That's in English?
And does it involve spandex or mecha suits?
In English? Why, yes, of course this one is in English. It was produced in the United States, with an English-speaking cast. Howling from the Hollywood Mesozoic era that was 1977, we have The Last Dinosaur, starring Richard Boone, Stephen Keats, and Joan Van Ark.
A stage name if ever I've heard one.
Hold up, we're supposed to do a Japanese film for the crossover.
That's what makes this so delicious. This was a crossover film between two studios, American and Japanese. Yes, hard though it might be to believe, The Last Dinosaur was a Rankin Bass production, co-produced by Suganobu Kotani. Tsuburaya Productions had their name on this as well, and while the movie only got a TV broadcast in the States, it was released theatrically in Japan.
You can stop that now.
Okay, so let's take a look at The Last Dinosaur and see if this film is enough to horrify even an eldritch abomination.
Heh, I bore witness to wonders that would twist the human psyche into a pretzel, and then there was creepy making me watch rock and roll.
So our film opens with an elephant, not a dinosaur. Feels almost like false advertisement to me.
It's the Last Dinosaur creepy. They didn't want to have the big reveal this soon. Even I expect that much from this film.
In any case, this is our protagonist, such as he is, Maston Thrust.
Seriously? Thrust is his last name.
Far as I can tell, yes. Ask Decker, though. This is his boat ride.
Even better, he was in the army as Private Thrust.
I'm gonna have fun with this.
Already I hate this. More so because I know Creepy is going to make jokes that will never end.
Well, if they didn't want that, they shouldn't have effectively named their main character Penis Hump.
Very true.
This opening is just to establish that Thrust is a hunter of endangered species, such as seems common of characters from the 70s we're not supposed to like. Furthermore, along the same theme, he happens to own an oil company, Thrust Industries, and is a serial groper.
But it's already on the endangered species.
And please keep in mind, this guy is supposed to be our main character, even though he comes off more like a Captain Planet villain.
I'm not so sure. For that, he'd have to start dumping toxic waste into children's swimming pools for fun.
Don't give him any ideas. This character is awful enough.
Before we can get any further into this movie's plot, such as it is, we have to listen to a lounge number that plays during the opening credits.
Here's the last dinosaur.
Wait. What?
It feels like this movie got itself confused with the James Bond franchise.
Stop making people think of movies they'd rather be watching. A film about James Bond fighting dinosaurs would already be a vast improvement.
Further establishing our protagonist's douchebaggery, he dumps his girlfriend we've known for all of 2 minutes in a cold, heartless gesture of giving her a solid gold bullet.
What am I supposed to do with this? I can't wear this.
It's a solid gold bullet. That thing is still worth a lot of money.
Well, shit, that's like giving someone a fuck you diamond as a parting insult. She can't feel that bad about the situation.
Private Thrust leaves his would-be lady friend at the airport with a flight ticket home, even though he could have not flown her out there in the first place. Never mind this disposable love interest, though. Thrust has an important press event to get to that will hopefully get this movie's plot rolling at last.
Mr. Thrust! Mr. Thrust!
Oh, Mr. Thrust! Mr. Thrust, you did it again.
Okay, it's settled. When I break into porn, Mast and Thrust will be my official porn name.
Now the movie's giving you ideas. Its legacy should have died in the 70s, not been allowed to flourish. Like weeds.
This is Joan Van Ark playing the role of intrepid photographer Frankie Banks.
That also sounds like a porn name. Okay, Decker, tell me the truth. Did you slip in a porno by mistake and just decide to roll with it?
No, if that were the case, why would it be called The Last Dinosaur?
Well, Thrust is getting kind of up there in years. Oh, I can't believe I actually said that last name out loud.
Nevertheless, he blows her off. No, not like that.
I didn't say anything.
You would have.
And we continue on to the press event. Turns out one of Thrust's polar drilling operations discovered a lost world valley containing a sole surviving T-Rex.
Hold on a second. He's drilling in the North Pole? Seriously?
They really were trying to turn this guy into a Captain Planet villain years before the show even existed. News of the discovery of dinosaurs is taken with a grain of salt.
Yet. He's Russian and he disagrees.
In spite of this Soviet verbal bitch slap, Chuck Wade, played by Stephen Keats, insists that the T-Rex was real enough to munch on the other 4 members of his team. Major Thrust then makes the big reveal that they intend to reach this unexplored Lost Valley in order to study the beast.
Who is going with you, sir?
Chuck Wade, one of you, Dr. Kawamoto. Bunta!
What the fuck?
Enough that this movie gives us a blatantly politically incorrect protagonist, it has to dive headfirst into racism as well.
We have a woman named Frankie Banks, a black African stereotype called Bunta, and a rich guy named Thrust. It's official. Rankin Bass was trying to sneak the plot of a porno into a kids' movie. Fortunately, it doesn't look like they succeeded. If only because this movie has no plot.
Before this expedition to discover an uncharted wilderness and find dinosaurs gets underway, we have to stop off in Japan first. Because... Japan!
Hey, it's what you and Creepy are doing.
We're going to Japan to do things in Japan. This, on the other hand, makes no real sense.
You're implying that this movie made sense to you before now, and that simply cannot be. While in Japan, Captain Thrust catches sight of Frankie Banks, who stalked him all the way to the land of the rising sun so she could show off her portfolio to him. In bed.
Ugh, stop that! This man's old enough to be her father.
A lot older than that. The guy could be her grandfather.
No, he's actually only 26 years her senior.
Wow, Joan Van Ark looks really good for her age.
That or Richard Boone looks really bad for his.
True enough. Still, there's no point in trying to deny it. This actually is a porno.
Banks' highly impressive portfolio gets her a position on the team. She gets loaded along with the others into the Polar Borer, aka the submarine with a giant drill and frickin' laser beams attached to the drill. Again? Why is Japan so obsessed with submarines with giant laser drills attached to them?
That's a question only Japan's engineers can answer.
Or possibly a few dozen Freudian psychologists.
The giant mechanical penis substitute burrows through the glacial bed of ice and surfaces in the hidden valley, where, yet again, there is a distinct lack of ranch dressing.
Oh, damn it, we found dinosaurs and a secret community of human survivors in the far-off ape future, but we still can't find that fucking dressing!
The ranch dressing valley is very well hidden, I'll give it that.
Somehow, I feel like we've found the next quest Decker will want us to go on after Gamerathon 3.
Thus, the team comes ashore, along with their big haul of crap that I'm surprised could even fit in the thrust drill, consisting of Lieutenant Thrust, Wade, Banks, Bunta, played by Luther Rackley, and Dr. Kawamoto, played by Tetsu Nakamura, who was introduced early in the movie, but had so little to do with the main events, I really felt he wasn't worth bringing up until now. Maybe?
And this explains why Decker has been written out of Gamerathon 3 until week 4.
What? You can't do that to me! Along with the Patreon pledges, my channel is what's paying for the trip!
So the hours I've spent off camera keeping you focused on your job don't count, huh? The team has its first prehistoric encounter, mistaking an Uintatherium for a ceratopsian. Banks decides to stand in the charging mammal's path to snap photos, meaning Commander Thrust has to show off his manliness by dragging her into the mud.
Woman covered in mud. This movie just got itself one more star.
It's very easy to please you. One wonders why asylum films don't get higher ratings.
This is where asylum films make their mistake. There aren't enough boobs in them to distract Decker from the atrocious part.
That night we have some character building, even learning what bunta means.
Bunta means the owner of 100 wives and 1,000 head of cattle.
That is a damn lot of information stuffed into 2 syllables. The next day, the group begins their hunt for the T-Rex, while Kawamoto stays behind at camp. Banks has concerns, however, because General Thrust is bringing a gun with him on the hunt. Oh no, the poor defenseless T-Rex.
I said the animal would not be hunted, but if we get in a jam...
He's got a point there, Decker.
Poor defenseless creature.
Okay, Decker, we get it. Maybe you should try climbing inside the T-Rex's mouth and convincing it to come along quietly with kind words and a brisk flossing.
On their expedition, Banks runs into baby Gamera. The encounter leaves her with several leeches attached to her leg, but Bunta comes to her rescue. Though this act of kindness doesn't earn him any of Banks's gratitude.
Come on, let's get moving!
Inconsiderate bitch, would it kill you to thank the man that actually helped?
It's a language barrier. After all, Bunta hasn't had any lines in this movie so far.
He doesn't get any lines for the rest of the movie either. Makes me think that there might be a reason that Rackley only acted in one other movie besides this. While the gang is still on the hunt, the audience is introduced to cavemen. Where they came from, I have no idea, but it doesn't look as though they're here to sell auto insurance. One demonstrates some kleptomaniac tendencies, swiping the purse Banks left behind. Why she brought a purse to the Lost Valley? Again, I don't know.
Accessorizing.
Did she think there would be a matching pair of Triceratops skin shoes somewhere along the glacial embankment?
At long last, it's time to lure out the T-Rex. To do this, Thrust Man sends Bunta up a tree. The smell of token black guy brings out the movie monster in short order, and...
Come on, Come on!
Wait a minute. Play that again. I just heard Godzilla's roar in that. They actually made the T-Rex roar like Godzilla?
Well, this movie was co-produced by a Japanese tokusatsu studio, so...
They made the T-Rex roar like Godzilla!
I'm gonna have to take Decker's side on this one. What's next? Pterodactyls that sound like Rodan?
The Thrustinator opens fire with his rifle, but the T-Rex proves he has the same bulletproof immunity that dinosaurs have in these kinds of movies. When the rifle jams...
Come on, Bunta!
Why?
I honestly don't know. It was an easy enough problem to fix. You wouldn't have even had to put the rifle down. And I say this as someone who is not a gun fanatic.
Thus far, the only person to show any competence or decent common sense in this movie is Bunta, the one who was stiffed for dialogue.
Disarmed thanks to, well, himself, Thrustosaurus and company retreat. Having gone hungry, the T-Rex catches a fish the size of a Honda before slipping around ahead of the group to finish off Kawamoto. By stepping on him.
At this point, I'm stunned the movie didn't kill Bunta off first.
Given the level of competency Bunta has displayed, the team would be dead in 5 minutes without him. The T-Rex also commits grand theft by stealing a penis drill, uses it so he can dig a Triceratops out of a cliffside, does battle with it, and eats it.
What?
No, I'm not making any of that up.
How is it this movie can be so unapologetically awful and yet so weirdly awesome at the same time?
Oh, it's Ronkin Bass. Then again, it could also be your own incredibly low standards for entertainment.
The team chooses this moment to return, learning that their incredibly underdeveloped scientist friend has been squished. Power Thrust declares that none of them will rest until the T-Rex is hunted and killed. 4 months later...
Wait, stop! What, 4 months?
4 months.
How long have we been here, huh? 2 months? 3?
No, almost 4.
We transitioned from death to the T-Rex to 4 months later? How? Why? It's not like a time skip would help build these characters any further.
Now they're fighting cavemen. I can't say why, as there's little to no explanation for that. But who needs explanation when the characters can just bitch at each other and randomly decide to start making out? This inspires Inspector Thrust to build a crossbow out of scrap left over from the destroyed camp. And just like that, the cavemen all run away.
Wow. What a tense plot point. I was on the edge of my seat.
Weren't there dinosaurs in this movie? Amidst the group complaining about the styrofoam that the camera crew keeps tossing at them off-screen, they encounter Not Nova, one of the cavemen from the defeated tribe, who petitions to join up with them. Because in cave society, homicide is apparently a gesture of goodwill and peace.
How can you tell? She has slightly less dialogue than Bunta.
Here!
Or alternatively, 4 complete strangers treat her better than her own tribe.
Hey, fuck us, have a goddamn chicken! No wonder she's sticking around. I'd follow 4 homicidal strangers for that. A bunch of bullshit then happens. They toss a corpse around for a while, and then Not Nova gets in bed with the Thrustomatic.
Aha! I knew it was a porno!
No. She literally just got in bed with him. Nothing actually happened.
Jeez.
Not Nova also helps Banks wash her hair down by the riverbank. But, oh no, the T-Rex picks that moment to attack.
Oh yeah, there were dinosaurs in this movie.
It was maybe 20 feet tall before. When the hell did it shoot up to over 100?
The hazards of prehistoric steroid abuse?
Well, it would explain why we can't see the T-Rex's balls in that shot. Banks gets trapped in a cave by the hungry T-Rex, but the manly men of manliness save the day by lassoing its tail and tying it to a rock. No, really, that's the plan they execute to save Banks.
I'm pretty sure they broke most of the laws of physics making that plan work.
Not to mention logic, common decency, narrative storytelling, the list goes on.
President Thrust decides that it's high time they finally killed the T-Rex, like he said they'd do almost an hour ago. To accomplish this, he initiates his Predator rip-off plan, complete with shirtless manly men doing sweaty manual labor.
Wait, that can't be right. This movie came out years before Predator was even a thing.
But it's so sexy.
Decker. That's the stuff that keeps fueling the yaoi fan artists.
I meant Frankie. Banks.
Before the plan can be executed, though, Wade inadvertently finds the penis drill. Thinking that they're finally about to get home, he races back to camp, but Kaiser Thrust refuses to leave until he's slain the mighty T-Rex.
Since when are you calling the shots? You work for me.
Now you go off and bring me my whiskey.
Funny you should mention that. It seems that Richard Boone was drunk through most of this film's production.
You'd never guess, considering the man's stellar performance.
Wade and Banks head off to the penis drill to get it ready to bring them back to civilization, while Bunta stays behind, so he can be killed by the T-Rex off screen.
What?
Way to respect the guy who's done the most good out of anyone here.
Thrust Quartermain's trap is no match for the T-Rex's shock-absorbing rubber forehead, and his plan fails spectacularly. Banks tries to convince the man one last time to return with her to the outside world and leave the poor, defenseless, murderous giant predator alone.
It's the last one.
So am I.
They don't make assholes like me anymore.
And I suspect the world is a better place for it.
What a pity his asshole descendants haven't made it to the endangered species list yet.
So the movie ends with Wade and Banks leaving, Thrust staying behind, and no resolution whatsoever coming about. But on the plus side, we do get that lounge song again.
He is the last dinosaur.
So, there really was no sex in this. I'm disappointed.
I knew you thought it was a porno.
Oh, didn't you?
Making it a porno could only have improved the overall quality.
Plus, it gives a really good excuse to use the goddamn sexual Tyrannosaurus audio.
Anyway, that was The Last Dinosaur. Fuck, what did I get myself into? I wasn't expecting this to be a grand movie for the ages, but I have to admit I was expecting something a bit better than what we got. There are some entertaining bits here and there, and I like the cheesy effects even if they are inconsistent, but But the film has the same big flaw I felt the last movie I reviewed had. The plot goes nowhere and seems to suffer ADD over what it's actually about.
On top of those failings, the acting is overall pretty awful, the dialogue corny at best, and the characters themselves range from flat and forgettable to outright horrid. Despite there only being a cast of 5 mains and their personalities being shallow, it was hard for me to keep track of them. In all frankness, I couldn't bring myself to care about what happened to them half the time, which is just about the worst crime a film can commit.
It felt weird that the movie opened on what I assumed was trying to make us hate the lead protagonist. It was awkward that Banks was introduced like a feminist while the movement was gaining steam in the 70s, but slept her way into getting into the team and spent the whole movie as a nagging housewife. Wade just complained about everything, and Bunta was the one who did the most good, but had no lines and was killed far, far away where no fucks are given.
And then we come to the sole Japanese character in this crossover production between an American and Japanese studio. Kawamoto had zero characterization outside of his race and nationality. I would have liked to give more of a critique about the actor's performance, but there was nothing to work with due to how poorly the character was written. However, in spite of all that, The Last Dinosaur has one major redeemable quality. The film is utterly terrible and contemptible, yet the poor quality feels almost deliberate. The movie would not feel out of place on an episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000. It comes across as tailor-made for the show, in fact. I can only speculate that it was never riffed because the movie isn't public domain.
Deliberate or not, I still can't understand who thought it would be a good idea to suddenly shift 4 months later and forget about the T-Rex plot in the middle of a movie called The Last Dinosaur. The jumbled nature of the plotline makes it hard for me to get invested, and the characters are so contemptible I don't really want to follow them for most of the film. So to me, The Last Dinosaur comes in at one submarine drill with frickin' laser beams attached to the drill, out of 5.
I can't in good conscience argue with that. People who enjoy So Bad It's Good cinema will likely get a kick out of it, but for me personally, The Last Dinosaur has zero replay value, unless I was looking to torture someone for my own amusement.
Oh.
I guess I'll have to do better than that some other time, though.
Well, I still have plenty more Asylum films to go through. Thank you all for watching. I've been Decker Shado, and remember, support Creepy's ambition to become a porn star just so that the name Maston Thrust can live on.
Decker, stop encouraging him!
Good night, everybody.